Rastaman do his thing. You see, he got bling, 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 bling. Hey.
Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Ernest Faison Show. I hope that you are enjoying your summer. This, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be hard hitting. Oh, by the way, we were celebrating Happy V-Day. Only Rhode Island celebrates that, and you people know me. You know that I'm all about celebrating the veterans. And I've done no less because I come bearing big time gifts this time. I'd like to welcome to my program, and it's been a long time coming because we had COVID and everything, and I had my number one camera guy there, Hollie, to set this up. But it was off, it was on, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to say that it is on. Mr. Michael Richard McGlaughlin. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Ernest.
Yes. It's a blessing. We, like I said, we were hitting and missing with this thing. You and I were texting back and forth. We were getting the logistics down, and now
we here.
Wouldn't you have it? We are here. We are in the building. Okay, Mr. McGlaughlin, why don't you tell the people under the sound of my voice just a little bit about yourself?
Well, let's see. I grew up in Cumberland, Rhode Island. Got drafted into the military in June of 1968. I served in a Ranger LRP unit in Vietnam.
Which we'll get into.
Okay, yeah. For sure. I was discharged.
General information.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was discharged in March 1971.
Yep.
After that, I ran into some friends of mine from high school. They were teammates of Hollie's, and they set it up.
Would that be Hollywood there?
Oh, that's the man.
Not that Hollywood guy.
The Hollie that you know.
The Hollie that I know. Okay. You had to be there, ladies and gentlemen.
So those mutual friends talked to the coach down at the University of Texas at El Paso.
Yes.
Gave him a little history about my running in high school. I ended up in El Paso, Texas in August of 1971. Graduated in 1975 and started a career in teaching and coaching.
That's amazing. Well, you know that I lived in Austin, Texas. I think you and I, when we were liaisoning back and forth with the texting, and everything's big in Texas.
Yeah, except me.
He said that, I didn't. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching PEG RITV, the Ernest Faison Show. I have a gentleman who I don't know him, but you know what? I feel like I know him. But you know, he served this country. Not only did he serve this country, he served this country over in Vietnam. He'd be a bad man. He'd be a special forces man. And we'll get more into that. I grew up on Fort Bragg, and he was right there at Fort Hood. So there's a lot of similarities, as you and I spoke about in the green room.
Yep.
What was Fort Hood like for you?
Wow. You can imagine when I got there, it was October of '71.
Wow.
And it was quite small. It's a lot larger now. There wasn't much to do. It was a dry county.
No alcohol.
Except the way they get around dry counties is they have private clubs that you join, that you're able to go into and legally have a beer. When I got to Fort Hood, it was Company A Rangers. The only other person in that unit that went to Vietnam was the Sergeant Major. The unit was training to go to Vietnam, so I just had to check in the mornings, and then I'm like, what am I gonna do the rest of the day? So I finally looked into the Fort Hood Skydiving Club. So most of my free time, weekends, sometimes late afternoon, I would be able to go skydiving with members of the club, and the unique thing was we did not jump out of C-130s, we jumped out of helicopters.
Yeah, you told me that in the green room. What was that like?
Different.
Had to be.
Because we jumped at like the max 2,500 to 5,000 feet.
That's what I was just going to say.
It was static line.
That'd be a static jump.
So as soon as you jumped out, you looked up and you went, whoa. You're thinking the rotor That
Yeah, it's
big
right there.
rotor. I hope I'm going down instead of up.
It'll make some mincemeat of you.
But anything with jumping or skydiving, once the chute opens, it's so tranquil and relaxing.
And the static line opens the chute, correct?
It opens it for you.
Yeah,
just,
correct.
Just like jumping out of the C-130s.
Like you and I spoke about in the green room, my stepfather, 82nd Airborne, the joke is, why are you jumping out of a perfectly good airplane? And of course, back then in Vietnam, he saved for $185. Back then, that was a lot of money.
Well, remember, we got a whole $65 a month extra for hazardous duty pay. Imagine
Wow.
that.
Back then, I know.
Well, what I did on my 70th, well, it was close to my 70th birthday. It was on August 2nd, I think, which was my daughter's birthday. I went out to the El Paso Skydiving Club and got to jump from 12,500 feet.
Oh, wow.
And that was my first jump in 50 years.
Wow. What was that like for you?
Going up, it's like, wow, am I really doing this? Am I ready for this? And of course, it's like, you can't back down now. You're off the ground, you're going up.
Yeah.
And then they remind you, oh, we're at 5,000, we're at 7,500,
Right.
we're at 10,000, 2,500 more feet to go. And I was out with a guy I met that was 82nd, and he was a master parachutist. So because my license expired years ago, I had to go tandem.
Right. So did I.
So
of course.
You free fall 60 seconds, and then all of a sudden, chute opens, and you're just pulled up so fast.
And I felt like I was in the Vienna Boys Choir.
Yeah, I went, oh man, I didn't have aches and pains like this when I was younger.
Because I was free falling, I
Yep.
was going psychedelically going into the moment, and next thing I know, I'm going this way.
Yeah,
About
it's
120 miles an hour that way all of a sudden.
very exhilarating.
It was, and
It
I got a
was.
natural facelift too, because my face was like that.
Yeah, I was. They did record it. It was on video. I sent it to some friends. I was planning on jumping when I got back here last August. I had an appointment to jump out at Newport.
Newport, yep.
But I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it here in El Paso.
I heard that.
And I said, it'll save a little time and free me up for vacation.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I actually had those gentlemen on my show.
Oh,
Yeah, Mark and those guys. They got over 40,000 combined jumps.
well, it's still time for a friend of mine and I to go out and
I see
jump.
you looking off to the left, to the right there. You're watching PEG TV. I've got a gentleman by the name of Mr. Rick. Yeah, he don't want the mic. He wants the Rick.
I don't want Richard. I was
Yeah.
only called Richard by my ex-wife
Okay.
when I was in trouble.
We want him to be comfortable on this show. I'm gonna call him Mr. McGlaughlin. How about that?
Yeah.
That way I stay in the middle. Yeah, he was in Vietnam. He did a lot of interesting things. He has the Purple Heart, which we'll get into also. And you have the Bronze Star. Is that right? Which we also will get into. So after you kind of left the military, the VA organization, we'll start talking about your bullet points now.
Yeah.
That we talked about in the green room, and then we'll matriculate from there.
Yep.
As time permits. The VA organization.
VA. Of course, when I got out, we weren't told, go to your closest VA and register. There's benefits there. There's help for you. It was just, here's your money for your accrued leave. They actually did shake our hand, and that was that. And most of the Vietnam veterans, and most likely even the Korean War veterans, dealt with most of their issues on their own.
Right.
My first trip to the VA was 41 years after I left Vietnam. Got in there for examinations. Got together with a veteran service officer from the Disabled American Veterans who helped me put the paperwork together to file for a disability claim.
Yep.
The one thing I do suggest is veterans should not try to apply for benefits on their own.
Can you look in that camera and say
Oh, yeah.
that again? That's
Yeah.
huge.
Veterans should not try to apply for any benefits on their own. They should seek out a veteran service officer from either Disabled American Veterans, Veterans of Foreign Wars, American Legion.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that. Because it's daunting. It's too much, and you're going to get frustrated.
And kind of rule of thumb, which you hear through the grapevine, and from talking to various veteran service officers, approximately 50% of first-time claims are denied.
Denied.
And
Denied.
too many veterans go away after that denial.
That's right.
They
That's
don't keep going, keep fighting. Fight the way you fought when you were in.
I appreciate you saying
Don't
that.
give up until you get what you deserve.
That's right. The long game. And you, by the way, are 100%
Yeah, it only took,
service connected.
it only took 10 years,
Only 10 years.
from 2011 to 2021.
And retro pay?
To the point, retro pay is only to the point that you file the claim,
Correct. On that
not
day.
back to who knows when.
Okay. So when you was at Fort Bragg, the 75th and H Company, is that right?
Well, no, it was there for training.
Okay.
But then when I got to Vietnam, I ended up in Company H Rangers / LRP.
Alert.
LRP meant Long Range Reconnaissance Patrol. And then later on, they changed it to Long Range Patrol.
Right. Some people call those snipers, but you corrected me.
Yeah, when you're in the jungle, everything was close combat.
Right.
M16, you don't have time to go from here to here to aim.
That's right.
You're more spraying. You set up claymore mines when you stop off a trail. Have fragmentation grenades, concussion grenades. You have smoke. You have flares.
Yeah.
Each one of us carried like 20 magazines of M16 rounds.
Right. You know, I appreciate you talking about this because a lot of people can't talk about these things.
Yeah, well, it took a long time.
Yeah. And speaking about talking, I'm talking because I float like a butterfly and I sting like a bee. Like the way I did that?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. My name is Ernest Face, and you're watching PEG RA TV. I've been trying to get this gentleman on my show for the last couple years. How would it be that COVID came, but thank God, through the grace of God, Hollie, who's behind that camera, continue to be diligent, and we put this together. And this man is, in my opinion, an American hero because he has the Purple Heart, and you also have, what is the other one there?
2 Bronze Stars.
Yeah, 2 Bronze Stars. And he walks humble, you know what I mean? And it seems like he's at a good place in his life. So I'm honored to actually have him on the show. And there are a lot of people under the sound of my voice, Mr. McGlaughlin, who are reliving your footsteps as you take us through all which is going on. So it's truly a blessing. So we spoke about, a little bit about Vietnam. We talked about the VA, getting into your bullet points. I know that was not a good thing as it was, but you prioritized it and you made it work for you. So now I want to fast forward, like we said we do, because I just see my camera guy and my cue card guy say I got 15 minutes. So I want to make sure I get all this stuff in because, oh, by the way, you did come all the way from Texas.
Hollie and I were friends for a long time. We were teammates at UTEP, University of Texas at El Paso. My annual visit is my vacation, which is in August. And the reason I come in August is because another running friend of ours, we have his Memorial Road Race.
Mr. Doyle.
Yeah, second Sunday of August every year.
Yeah.
So my vacation to come back here where I grew up is always overlapping the race.
Well, I'm glad that you took time out of your busy schedule to come to the Ernest Facing Show and just give us some education on your life experiences. Now, let's fast forward. So Vietnam, life, situations, some challenges that we said that we touch on briefly, not too long.
Oh, it was challenges, all right. After Vietnam, seeing we didn't know where to go for help, it was kind of turning to a lot of partying, drugs, never a needle, but drugs, marijuana, hash, other little things, mescaline, psilocybin,
Timothy Leary guy.
alcohol, hard stuff. That was from the past. But those were ways to deal with it at the time. But it's only because of running into those friends of mine that were rivals from Hope High School one time when I was on leave and they were on Christmas vacation from UTEP. They talked to me about, what are you going to do when you get out? Getting out in March of '71 out of the military.
Right.
So they talked to their coach, filled him in about my history and what I ran, and etc. And August of '71, I ended up not back, in El Paso, Texas, which this month is 51 years.
Wow. Did you have a bout with COVID?
Fortunately, I did not. I got all 4 shots.
Excellent.
The first 2 and the 2 boosters. I was pretty much self-isolated, because I do live alone. I had an old English sheepdog that had to be put down because she fractured a hip at almost 14 years old. But another thing, dogs are the best thing
Unconditional love.
to help you with
sure.
any issues.
For sure. I appreciate you sharing that. In the context of time, I told you I wanted to try to touch on a lot of things with you because you have a lot of knowledge here, and I want to pick your brain as much as I can. So we fast forward to the military. To me, the nowadays Agent Orange that they just passed, you already know where I'm going with it.
Yeah.
The burn pits.
Yep.
Your thoughts?
Well, I support what Congress did for the veterans. That came about a lot quicker than Agent Orange ever did.
Oh.
Agent Orange, it took 30-something years. 30-something years before they acknowledged it.
Yeah.
And then, to the best of my knowledge, the government is the one that settled with Dow Chemical
Right.
on Agent Orange, and then the veterans had to deal with the VA to see if they could get benefits for Agent Orange.
Yeah.
The thing about it is, being exposed and having it in their eyes is 2 different things.
Yeah.
If you don't have some of the symptoms,
Yeah, you can't connect it to the service.
they won't.
I got that.
They admitted, and I registered with an Agent Orange register,
Yeah.
which, God, I did that like back in 2012.
Yeah.
And I had a map. I
Yeah.
got a map from another veteran that showed what percentage of Agent Orange were,
Okay.
or guess the way they put it out on
Yeah.
the planes and
me-
helicopters.
Yeah.
What percentage of Agent Orange hit those areas?
Okay, I appreciate that. I'm gonna move forward now. So you were a 67 state champ.
66 in cross country.
Yeah.
Track wasn't my favorite because
Okay.
I guess with my ADD, I hated running in circles.
Right. Okay. So it was told to me that something very weird happened in Mexico.
Oh, a lot
Ladies
of
and
things.
gentlemen, you had to be there. You watching Peg Art TV. I got my guest, Mr. Rick McGlaughlin. We broke up some of the seriousness, and I got him over here chuckling. And my information specialist here.
Mexico is kind of like Las Vegas. What happens in Mexico stays in Mexico.
Okay, how about the 7-Eleven store?
Oh, that was unique. Yeah, we went in to buy some potato chips.
And then there was one of the elephant in the road.
Well, yeah. Oh, what elephant? Well, yeah. Hollie and another friend of ours, Art Belvin from New Jersey, were driving back, and I had a four-speed Chevy Nova 350. Well, Artie or Hollie couldn't drive a transmission. Well, what was it? Manual transmission. So I was the one driving cross country.
Yeah.
Nonstop. Our first stop, beside gas and food, was New Jersey.
All right, let me keep moving. So your mom with the Southern Comfort.
Oh man, Dennis was involved in that too.
Look at him, sitting back like, who it wasn't? It wasn't me.
Yeah.
Wasn't me that told you that, Ernest. Hope y'all having fun. You're watching PEGRI TV. It's not all serious, but it is serious.
Yeah.
Man traveled all the way from Texas. Man, Special Forces, bad man. Glad to have him on the show. Mr. Hollie Walton was able to make this all come true. He goes by the name Mr. Rick McGlaughlin. He is a bad man, and I'm proud to have him on the show. And so, American Forum, Hector Garcia.
American GI Forum.
Yeah.
That's the gentleman. He was a military doctor,
Yeah.
and he was Hispanic, and he came up with. I guess it would be like bylaws or an,
that can help the soldier navigate.
right, and I think you have a copy that I gave you.
I do. You do.
Which is
You came bearing gifts.
yes, I did.
Yes, you did. Bless your heart.
It starts with helping needy veterans.
Yeah.
And it goes down kind of like a checklist of
Looking at it.
what
I'm
their
looking at it.
objectives
Very
were.
detail oriented too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in El Paso, we just got the El Paso chapter approved by the state.
Aid the needy and disabled. Develop leadership.
Yep.
Preserve and advance the basic principles of democracy. Secure and protect all veterans. Yeah, this is a guideline.
I like the last two, too.
Oh, is that right? Award scholarship to deserving student. Preserve and defend the United States of America from all enemy. Yeah, it's ladies and gentlemen, watching PEGRI TV. Put that camera on me. I'll float like a butterfly and I'll sting like a bee. I got Mr. McGlaughlin and his life on what? Could it be? He's still trying to pull it together. Hollywood Walton, my cameraman, who put this whole thing together. Lifelong friend.
Oh, yeah.
Gentlemen, just go in. How did y'all meet?
Well, him and Bobby was training together, and Bobby went to Hope High School with me, and so Rick was with him, and we started training together, and it's been like that ever since. And him and a couple other guys were like my bodyguard that took me out to El Paso,
Wow.
And he actually, to tell you the truth, when I got drafted and I was in El Paso, and my coach got me out of there, I had to go on ROTC, so he was the one to hook me up with everything.
And what was your experience with Hollie like? What were your first impressions?
Well, runners have a camaraderie second to none. They really do.
Mm-hmm.
We spent a lot of time sweating together, running many, many miles, going to races all over Texas, all over New England. It was nice to have people that you knew from Rhode Island down there. It was like family.
Right.
And now here we are, full circle, to have you both on the show. And Hollie was behind the camera.
Yeah.
He looking at me like,
I was shocked,
I got him.
Well,
I called an audible. He was like, what's going on here?
Well, we owe him a lot for his service that he put for us in Vietnam.
That's right.
And what we try to do in this show here is to bring recognition to those people who did our country service. Right. And by having him here, he tells you what he went through,
That's exactly right.
There's more people out there that need help. So what we need to do is like having him here, get that out to the people.
That's right. And he was up close and personal with it. A lot of people can't do it. I'm so glad to have you both on. Lifelong friend. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to look in that camera right there, camera 3, like I told you. And what does this whole experience mean to you?
Well, I'm an advocate for veterans' benefits and helping with their claims in El Paso, and met other veteran service officers from the other organizations. Disabled American Veterans, American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars, and the word still has to get out to some veterans on what they need to do. Step 1, get yourself registered at the VA. Step 2, don't try to handle a claim by yourself. Get help from one of those service organizations.
Excellent. Well said. And this man, by the way, Purple Heart, Mr. Rick McGlaughlin. You can see it. You have been watching PEG RITV. I came at you hard this time. I got 2 lifelong friends.
Right.
Hollie's still trying to recover.
I am.
Mr. Rick McGlaughlin, Vietnam vet, Purple Heart. I mean, he's done a lot of things. He's a good guy. I'm so proud that he is in the presence of us. It's been fun, but we've got to run. There's no me without you, no you without me. Take care of yourself. God bless. Lifelong friends right here.
Yep.
Look at
Yay.
it.
That's important.
Give it
Important.
Yeah, man, important.
We did it.
Important.
We did it.
We did it. We did it.
Yes,
We did it.
yes.
There you go. And that's how we do it.
That's how we did it.
Bling, 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 bling. He's a Rastaman do his thing. You see that bling, 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 bling. Hey, laddie man. Some people have to know the diamond ring. Driving around with spinning rims. Walking down the street in Varsity.